Ever spent hours scrolling through Reddit, judging strangers in a thread titled, "Am I the asshole for leaving my family to find myself?" Well, what if I told you the original AITA post wasn't on Reddit, but on a stage in Copenhagen in 1879? Buckle up, because we're about to dive into how 19th century theater basically invented the internet drama we know and love today. For most of history, plays were about big, important people doing big, important things. Think kings, gods, tragic heroes with epic destinies. The stories were grand, the stakes were earth-shattering, and the characters were, well, not very much like you or me. The whole structure of society, and therefore art, was vertical. At the top, you had God, below God, the king. Below the king, a whole bunch of nobles, and then way down at the bottom, there was you, the regular person. Your job was to know your place and look up. The drama was always about the people at the top of that ladder. It was entertainment, sure, but it was also a reminder of the cosmic order. Then, around the 1880s, something snapped. A new kind of place started appearing, and it wasn't about gods or kings anymore. It was about us. It was about regular, middle-class people living in apartments, dealing with debt, bad marriages, and existential dread. This was the birth of modern drama, and its ground zero was the mind of a grumpy-looking Norwegian playwright named Henrik Ibsen. Ibsen was the original master of the hot take. He looked at the polite, respectable society of his time and decided to pull the rug out from under it. He wrote plays that felt less like grand artistic statements and more like someone airing their dirty laundry in public. And his most explosive piece of laundry was a little play called A Doll's House. The plot is deceptively simple. Nora Helmer is a housewife. She has a loving, if a bit condescending, husband, 3 adorable children, and a comfortable home. On the surface, it's the 19th century dream, but underneath, Nora has a secret. Years ago, her husband Torvald was very sick, and the only way to save him was to take a trip to a warmer climate. They couldn't afford it, so Nora, in a desperate act of love, forged her father's signature to get a loan. She's been secretly paying it back ever since, working odd jobs and scrimping on household expenses, all while letting Torvald believe the money came from her father. For most of the play, it's a tense domestic thriller. Will her secret be exposed? Will the man she took the loan from, a disgruntled employee of her husband's, ruin her life? The tension builds and builds until the climax, when the truth finally comes out, and this is where the real drama begins. Nora expects Torvald, who is always talking about how much he loves her and would do anything for her, to understand. She even has a fantasy that he'll heroically take the blame, declaring his undying love and protecting her from the consequences. That is not what happens. Instead, Torvald explodes. He doesn't see her sacrifice. He only sees his own reputation being threatened. He calls her a liar, a criminal, an unfit mother. He tells her she's no longer allowed to raise their children. He's only concerned with appearances and saving his own skin. And in that moment, Nora has a profound realization. Her entire marriage, her entire life, has been a performance. She's been a doll in a doll's house, first for her father and now for her husband. Torvald eventually calms down, especially after the threat of public exposure is neutralized. He magnanimously declares that he forgives her and that they can go back to how things were. But for Nora, there's no going back. The illusion has been shattered. And then she delivers one of the most revolutionary lines in the history of theater. Torvald tells her that before all else, she is a wife and a mother. Nora replies, "I believe that, before all else, I am a human being." With that, she takes off her wedding ring, hands him her keys, and walks out the door, leaving her husband and her children behind to go and figure out who she really is. Slam! The sound of that door closing was heard all across Europe. People were shocked, outraged. How could a woman abandon her sacred duties as a wife and mother? The play was so controversial, it was often performed with an alternate, happy ending where Nora breaks down and stays for the children, an ending Ibsen himself called a barbaric outrage. Think about it. In today's terms, Nora's story is the ultimate Am I the Asshole? Post. AITA for ghosting my husband and kids after discovering my entire marriage was a lie. The comments section would be a war zone. You'd have people screaming, YTA, you abandoned your children, and others passionately defending her with NTA. Your husband was a gaslighting narcissist. You need to save yourself. This is the fundamental shift that Ibsen brought to the stage. He took drama from that old vertical world of gods and kings and dropped it into a new horizontal one. In the modern world, there's no clear hierarchy anymore. Everyone is supposedly equal, but we're also disconnected, alienated, and confused about our roles. The big questions were no longer about pleasing the gods. They were about navigating our relationships with each other. Who am I? What do I owe to my spouse, to my children, to myself? These are the questions that fuel modern drama, and they are the very same questions that fuel the endless debates we have online every single day. Ibsen didn't just write a play, he wrote a template for how we talk about our lives. He showed that the most compelling drama isn't about epic battles, but about the quiet, desperate conflicts happening inside ordinary living rooms. He turned the theater into a public forum for debating the most intimate and difficult questions of modern life. So the next time you're deep in a Reddit thread, judging the choices of a complete stranger, just remember Henrik Ibsen. He was doing it first, and he did it so well that we all still living in the world he put on stage over 140 years ago. The technology has changed, but the drama remains exactly the same. We're all just trying to figure out who we are and wondering if we're the asshole for doing it. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this little trip into theater history, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shape our world. Let me know in the comments what you think. Is Nora a hero or an asshole? I'd love to hear your take. See you next time.